after equation. In other words, equation signify relation between two algebraic expressions with a sign of equality. And then one side of the equation is called LHS and the other side is called RHS. That's nothing but right hand side and left hand side. Okay, so that is the first thing. And then we went on and understood what is degree of equation. Degree of equation is the highest power of the variable that is involved in the equation. In this we saw few examples. The first part is equations in one variable and the second part is equation in two variables. If you see the first part here, you have equation with one variable, that is only x. Okay, so in the second part where you have two variables, you have x as well as y. And then the highest degree in the first equation is 1. The highest degree in the second equation given here is 2 because x has to the power 2. And then the highest degree in the third equation is 7. Okay, now here because there is change, the degree of equation is 7. This is the highest degree. Then coming to two variables, you have degree of 1, degree of 2, and then if you see here, you have degree of 4. Okay, so this is equation in two variables. So I think we finished until here. Then coming to the roots of the equation. Now root of the equation means, we will come back to the same example. Now if you take this equation, 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. Now in this equation, if we solve for x, okay, let us solve this for x. So 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. Now I can take 3 to the other side. So I already told, if it is plus on to the one side, it is going to become minus. And if it's minus on one side, it's going to become plus. So here it is plus on one side. So what is it going to become after equal to? If it is plus on one side, what is it going to become? Good. So it's going to become minus, right? So 2x is equal to minus 3. Okay, next. This side it is 2 into x, right? 2 into x. Now if it is multiplication on one side, what it is going to become onto the other side? If it is multiplication on one side, it is going to become, good, it's going to become division. So next step is x is equal to minus 3 divided by 2. Now what did I do here? I found out the value of x, correct? I found out the value of x. So this x is called as root of the equation. So every equation will have a root and that will be the unknown variable. So we are going to solve the equation in every case and we will be able to find out the x value, and in these equations we will be finding the x as well as y value. Okay, now in this equation you can say x and y are roots of the equation, but in one variable you can say x is the root of the equation. Did you all understand this concept of root? So if at all in the question they say find the root of the equation, then it means you have to find the value of x or y, whatever is given to you. So this x is called as root of the equation. Then there are two theorems regarding the roots of the equation. Now let us see what are the two theorems. Every polynomial equation of degree greater than or equal to 1 have at least one root. So this is the first theorem. Now here what they are trying to say is any equation which has its degree greater than 1 or equal to 1. Okay, so let's write like this: greater than or equal to 1, then it means it has one root. So let us go back to the same example and understand here. So if you see the equations here, okay, so here the degree of the equation is 1, correct? The degree of the equation is 1 and the root of the equation is x. Again, it is the next one. The degree of the equation is 2. There is also one more x power 1, but you will have to find out the value of x as well as x square. Okay, at the end of the day it is x only. So what they are trying to say is any equation which has the degree of the equation more than 1 will have at least one root. Minimum, at least means minimum one answer will be available. Okay, then an nth degree polynomial equation will have most of n roots. Suppose you have the degree of the equation is 4, you might have 4 roots. There is no compulsion, but you might have 4 roots, or you can have 2 or 3 roots also. It depends on the equation. Understood the theorem? So firstly, if we find the value of x and if we satisfy the value, that x value, if it satisfies the equation, then it is known as root of the equation. Okay, and then we have two theorems in this. First theorem is every polynomial equation where the degree of the equation is 1 or more than 1, then in that case it will have at least one root. So if it is x plus 2 is equal to 0, which means x is the root. So x to the power 1 is the degree and x is the root. If you see, you have at least one root available. Okay, and then the theorem 2 is the nth degree polynomial equation will have at the most, maximum it will have 4 roots. Minimum it will have 1 root and maximum it will have n roots. So if you have 4 degree, it has 4 roots. 7 degree polynomial, maximum is 7 roots. So these are the roots of the equation. Any doubts until here? Okay, good. Now let us get into the equations. There are two types of equations. Okay. The first one is linear equation and next one is quadratic equation, which we are going to learn. Okay. These are the major two types which we are going to learn. Okay. Okay, Anusha. We will check this. Okay, theorem 2 you did not understand. Fine. Now what I'm trying to say is, if at all the equation is x to the power 4 minus x to the power 3 plus 5x minus 6 is equal to 0. Okay, if at all this is the equation, then what we are trying to say is the degree of this equation is nothing but 4. How did I get 4? Because that is the highest degree that can be given for a equation. So the degree of equation is 4. Okay, which also means this equation can have maximum 4 roots. Okay, maximum 4 roots. Here we have x to the power 4, x to the power 3, x only. You can also have x square, which you can accommodate, right? So any equation can have minimum of 1 root and maximum roots can be the degree of the equation. We'll take one more example. X to the power 9 plus x to the power 4x to the power 7 plus 3x to the power, let's say 4 plus 2x to the power 2 plus 25 is equal to 0. Some random example I've taken. Okay. Now here, what is the degree of the equation? Which is the highest number in the equation in the power? Yes, the highest degree of the variable, that is the highest power of the variable, will be the degree of the equation. 9, correct? So which means 9 is the degree of the equation. Now once 9 is the degree of the equation, what they are trying to say, it will have maximum of 9 roots. So this equation can have maximum of 9 roots. Root is nothing but x value, which we will find out, where that x value will satisfy the equation. So whatever x value I find, it should satisfy the equation. When I substitute that x value here, it should satisfy the equation. Only in that case, I can call it as a root of the equation. So this equation can have minimum of 1 root and maximum of 9 roots. Understood? Now is it clear? Okay. Now let's continue. Coming to linear equations. So let us understand what is the basic of linear equations so that we can start with the problems quickly. The equation of this form, what is the form? Ax plus b is equal to 0. If the equation of this form ax plus b is equal to 0 is available, that is called as linear equation. Okay, wherein a should not be equal to 0. This is the condition. This is one of the major condition. Now why a should not be equal to 0? Let us take an example and understand. Suppose I have 2x plus 3 is equal to, or let's say 2x plus 4 is equal to 2x plus 4 is equal to 0. Okay. Now in the place of a, so this is in the form of ax plus b. So a is the coefficient, x is the root of the variable, root of the equation, b is the constant, is equal to 0. Now a is not equal to 0, correct? Because a is 2. Now let us solve this 2x plus 4 is equal to 0. So I can write it as 2x is equal to minus 4. I'm taking 4 to the other side. So 2x is equal to minus 4. Then I can also write x is equal to minus 4 by 2. 2 ones are, 2 twos are 4. So I can write it as x is equal to minus 2. Yes. So that I get a root of the equation known as x is equal to minus 2. Everybody understood this problem? Yeah, x is equal to minus 2. Now, let us change this problem a little. Okay, let us change this problem a little. Now, suppose the same problem you have 0x plus 4 is equal to 0. Now, what is the actual condition? A is not supposed to be equal to 0. But here, A is equal to 0. Now, let us try to solve it. Okay. So, 0 into x. Firstly, say me 0 into x. What will be the answer? 0 into x. Can anybody say me the answer? Please think once again. 0 into x. 0 into x. Anything into 0 is 0. That's the universal law. Please do not get confused. Okay. Anything. 0 into 7, 0. 0 into 100, 0. 0 into 100 lakhs is also 0 only. If you multiply 0 with anything, it is still 0. So now since it is 0 into x, okay, it is 0 into x, which means this is 0. Plus 4 is equal to 0. Now what am I trying to find? Will I get a root? Will I get the root like this? No, I won't get the root of the equation. So that is why majorly the condition, this is very, very important condition for a linear equation where this a should not be equal to 0. Understood? Understood what are linear equations? Okay. Now, let's go to the next point. The equation of the form ax plus by is equal to 0. Okay, now you understood ax plus b is equal to 0, right? Ax plus b is equal to 0, you understood. Now, let us go to the next. So, this is one variable because there was only one x. Now, the equation of the form ax plus by is equal to 0. This is also linear equation, but with two variables. What are the two variables? X and y. Okay. So, along with b, I'm just adding a y here. Okay. So, ax plus by is equal to 0. A is equal to, sorry, a is not equal to 0 and b is also not equal to 0. Similar to what we saw in the one variable, in the two variable also, the a and b should not be equal to 0. If it is equal to 0, then it means there is no meaning for the equation. Understood? So this is linear equation in two variables, but when it comes to ax plus b, it is one variable. And linear equations are also known as simple equations. Okay, linear equations are also known as simple equations because they are very easy to solve if you know the basics of it. Understood? Rakshita, yes, they look similar, but what is the difference is there is no y here. Okay, there is no y here, but there is y available here. That is why, since there is no y, only a is not equal to 0 is given. Okay, in general, coefficients, I told you this is called coefficient before x, like 2x, 5y, 3z. So these are coefficients. So coefficients should not be equal to 0. Okay. Now in this you have y is the addition here. So x is one variable, y is one more variable. Now is it clear? Okay. Now let us understand few properties of linear equation. Now let us see what are the properties of linear equation. Now in the properties of linear equation, the first point is a linear equation in one variable holds good for a fixed value assigned to that variable. Now we will find out the root of the variable, correct? We will find the root of the variable. So let us take that example. 5x plus 7 is equal to 17. Okay. Now let us solve this. 5x is equal to plus 7. I'm taking it to the other side. So 17 minus 7. Now here 5x is equal to 17 minus 7 is 10. So x is equal to 10 by 5. 5 ones are, 5 twos are. So x is equal to 2. So I got x is equal to 2. So I found the root of the equation. Correct. X is equal to 2. Now what are they trying to say is, in this equation, let us substitute the 2 now. 5x, so plus 7 is equal to 17. So 5 into 2 plus 7 is equal to 17. So 5 twos are 10 plus 7 is equal to 17. 10 plus 17 is 17 is equal to 17. Therefore, LHS, left hand side, is equal to RHS. You remember doing this? And then we would write hence proved. Right? So, what they are trying to say is, in this equation, in the place of x, only few values will be able to put it up. Okay. Now the same thing, let us try if we can put some random value in the place of x. Okay. Now let us say we will take 5. We will take 5. Now let's say if x is equal to 5. I have randomly taken a number. Okay. There's no calculation of all of this. I have randomly taken a number. Now 5 into 5. I should get 17. Okay. This I cannot change. Now here 5 5s are 25. 25 plus 7. How much do you get? You get 32. Now is 32 equal to 17? Good, good. You will get 32. Is 32 equal to 17? No. 32 is not equal to 17. So LHS is not equal to RHS. I hope you understood that. LHS is not equal to RHS. Now what are we trying to say is, x can be only few values where we will find the root of the such values. So that will be called as properties of linear equation. That's the first property. Everybody understood the first property? Okay. Now let us go to the second point. An equation of the type, okay, an equation of the type, this x plus 2 by 3 plus x plus 3 by 2 is equal to 5x plus 13 by 6. Okay, if the equation is of this type where you have numerator and denominators, in this case, it is called as identity. Okay, this type of equation is called as identity. Because why it is called as identity? Because it holds good for any value assigned to the variable x. In such equations, you can assume any value for variable x, and that is why you will be able to solve the problem easily, and therefore it is called as identity. Okay, therefore it is called as identity. So an equation of the type, this is called as identity because it will allow you to assign any value for x and solve it. Clear? Now let's go to the next point. A simple equation or identity. Now here there are two different things. Simple equation is what we learned here. Okay. And then identity is this format of numerator and denominator. Okay. A simple equation or identity has two sides. Now what are the two sides? One is before equal to, one is after equal to. So this before equal to is called as LHS. After equal to is called as RHS. So left hand side of the equation and right hand side of the equation. Here also this part is called as LHS and this part is called as RHS. So that is your third point. Next, solution to an equation consists of values of unknown quantity which satisfy the equation. So in this, what they are trying to say is we are supposed to solve the equation and find out the root. Okay, that is the solution. Once we find out the root, that root value will satisfy the equation. So we already understood that here. For this equation, x is equal to 2 will give us 17 is equal to 17. Correct? So we will find the root of the equation. That root of the equation will satisfy the equation. So these are the first 4 points as the properties of linear equations. Understood? Okay. Now coming to the last point, a simple equation in one variable has only one solution. Now a simple equation with one variable. Simple equation, one variable is x. Okay. Rakshita, what if they don't satisfy? It means whatever value you have found out as root is wrong. Okay. Either the equation will be wrong because the way the equation is being arranged is in a wrong way. Okay. There are two options. Either the equation is wrong or the value of x, what we have found out, is wrong. Only in these two cases you will have the wrong answer. If the equation is right, okay, if the equation is right, then this part of x, you will get the correct answer. You need not worry so much. Okay. Now, if at all it's a simple equation with only one root, then you will get only one solution. If at all it has two variables, then you will have two solutions. That is x and y. Okay. Now these are unknown things where we have to find the answer for them. If at all you have x, y, z, you have x, y, z. All the three are unknown. We should find all the three answers. We will see all that as we solve the problems. Understood properties of linear equations? Any doubts in this? Okay. Now next we will go for rules for solving the linear equations. Now once we are done with the rules, we will start with the problems. Maybe next class we will start. So let us understand the rules of the linear equations. How do we solve linear equations? That is important to understand. Now the following rules may be applied in solving simple equations in one variable. Okay, they are talking about one variable. If we are solving x, then we will be using this. Any term of the equation may be transferred from one side to another. Now we took that example, right? So let's take an equation. Let's say 5x plus 10 is equal to 0. Okay, this is the equation. Now, in the next step, I'm going to send 10 to the other side. Correct? I'm going to send 10 to the other side. Now, when I'm transferring the variable or the constant or the term, okay, in simple words, it's called term. Okay, if I transfer any term from one side to another side, then it is called as transpositioning. Okay, the process of transferring one term from one side to another side is called transpositioning. But you have to keep this in mind that this process of sending 10 to the other side should not affect your equation. Okay, it should not affect your equation. So that is known as transpositioning. So that will be the first rule that we will be following. Now, next, both the sides of the equation may be multiplied or divided by a same non-zero number. Now, let's take the same equation. 5x plus 10 is equal to 0. Now, in this 5x plus 10, let us say I am multiplying 2 for this equation. Now, for this equation, let's say 5 2s are 10x plus 10 2s are 20 is equal to 0. If I multiply 2 into 0, I will still get 0 only. Okay. So, I am supposed to multiply the number for the whole equation. And if I am dividing the equation, then I am supposed to divide the whole equation by the number. Now let's say I divide it by 2. So what do I get? 10 by 2 is 5x, and then I have 10. 20 by 2 is 10 is equal to 0. So I have to divide or multiply by the same non-zero number. I'm not saying you have to go by 2 only. Okay. I'm saying that if at all you are multiplying one variable with 2, you should multiply the whole equation with 2. If you are dividing one variable with 5, let's say, you have to divide the whole equation with 5. That is what it means. Understood the second point? Understood the second point, everybody? Okay. Now, all the terms, good. Now, let's go to the third point. All the terms involving x may be brought to one side and the constants to the other side to find the solution. Now, that is what we have been doing without even reading the rules. Okay, that is what even rule says. So we are going to follow the same rule here. So let us understand what is that rule number 3 trying to say to us. So it is saying 5x plus 10 is equal to 0. So how do we do this? 5x is equal to minus 10. X is equal to minus 10 by 5. So what are we trying to do? We are keeping, or we are getting only x onto one side, and all the numbers that are available will be kept, or we will be transferring it to the other side. So we are grouping the x on one side and we are grouping all the other constants or the numbers onto the other side. So by doing this, we will be able to find out the solution for the equation. Now I can easily say 5 ones are 5 twos are x is equal to minus 2. So that is my third point. Next, last point, from the linear equation ax plus b is equal to 0. Now we have to derive a value for this. Ax plus b is equal to 0. If at all this is a linear equation, and that is the basic form of linear equation. Now let us find the root for this equation. Now what do we do to find the root? We will have to group x onto one side and all the constants and the numbers onto the other side. Okay. Now what will be the value here? Ax is equal to minus b. I am taking b to the other side, so it will become minus b. Next, x is equal to minus b divided by a. Correct? So the root of the equation of this, the root of the equation here for this equation is x is equal to minus b by a. Okay, so this is the root. So if at all you're not able to find the answer at all, for few questions we'll be solving that. Okay, so few questions for easy solving of the problem, we will be finding out the x by minus b by a formula. Clear? Understood all the 4 rules? Any doubts until here? Great. Now, shall we start with the problems? Yeah, then quickly. Give me a minute. I'll just arrange a whiteboard and then we will quickly start. Okay, concentrate. Let us go to the first question. Now, they have asked us to solve for x. And we have the equation which says 2x minus 4 is equal to 0. Now, how do we solve this? 2x minus 4 is equal to 0. So, I can take 4 to the other side. So, 2x is equal to, if I take minus 4 to the other side, it's going to become plus 4. Correct? So, I will have plus 4. Now, next, x is equal to